go. Let's do this. Let's do this. So, solving inequalities using multiplication and division. So, basically, what you did solving inequalities yesterday by addition and subtraction. You know, x plus 5 is less than 10. What do? You subtract 5 from those sides. Just like doing a regular equation. Same thing is true when you're solving, multiplying, and dividing. It works the same way, but there's one thing that we will need to watch out for. So if I look at this first problem, x divided by 3 is greater than or equal to 2. Remember, we want to get x by itself. What do? We multiply both sides by 3 because it's x divided by 3. The opposite of dividing is multiplying. So I multiply both sides by 3. That's the step I do to solve the problem. Just like a regular equation, same step. Okay. Over here, I have negative 5x is greater than or equal to 20. How do I solve? This is negative 5x is negative 5 times x. The opposite of that is dividing by negative 5x. So that step is the same step. Okay, so it's easy, right? It's an easy problem to solve. There is one real important thing, though. The most important rule to remember when you're solving inequalities, they're just like solving equations with one important rule. If you multiply or divide by the thing that you do to both sides of the equation, if you multiply or divide by a negative number, so if I multiply both sides by negative 3, or like the last example, if I divide both sides by negative 5, okay, if I do it to both sides, you must flip the inequality around. You change the inequality. If the thing you're doing to both sides is negative, the inequality flips. But it must be what you're doing to both sides. If what you're doing to both sides is positive, you don't have to change a thing. So if I have a positive times negative, so let's look at this one here. Okay. Nope, that won't move for me. Okay. So I want to solve x divided by 3 is less than negative 2. So this is x divided by 3. The opposite of division is multiplication. So I multiply both sides by 3. So I do 3 times this side and 3 times that side. Over here, the 3's cancel, and I get x. Over here, I have negative 2 times 3, which is negative 6. Now the question I need to ask is, do I flip the inequality around? The thing that I did to both sides, was it negative or positive? What did I multiply both sides by? 3. Is that positive or negative? It's positive, so it doesn't change. It has to be what is done to both sides. Okay, whatever is done to both sides of the equation. Okay. Just because I had a negative as part of my multiplication doesn't automatically make me switch it. Only when what's both sides. The 3 was on both sides, that's positive. Now graphing, and I kind of went over this a little bit, but because I wasn't here on Tuesday, you can see, do I have numbers on my number line? Do I have numbers on my number line? No. So I only need to worry about one thing. What's the one important number I need to worry about for graphing? Negative 6. So I just put negative 6 anywhere I want. Anywhere on that line, I put negative 6. And then I have to have a circle. Do I have open or closed? Open circle. And do I want everything larger or smaller? Smaller. Questions so far? It's not hard what we're doing here, but there is, like I said, one important thing you got to watch for. Okay, multiplying by a negative number. So this one's a little trickier. It's a trickier problem. I have -3/4 W is greater than or equal to 3. This was a problem that many of you struggled with in the previous chapter when we were doing equations. When I have a fraction, I multiply by its reciprocal. So I multiply both sides by 4/3. And because this is -3/4, I multiply by -4/3. Okay. So these cancel out. That's why I do that. Thank you. Just make a space on the back counter. Yeah. So I get W. On the other side, I have to multiply my fractions. Make that 3/1. Okay, so I have 3/1 times 4/3. You can cross cancel. The 3's cancel, and I get 4. But don't forget you have a negative, so that's -4. Now here's the important question. The thing that I did to both sides, did I multiply by a negative to both sides or by a positive to both sides? Did a negative to both sides. It was -4/3. Thank you very much. So I multiplied both sides by a negative. That means that I flip my inequality. So instead of being greater than or equal to, it's now less than or equal to. Because what I did to both sides, the thing on both sides was negative. Okay? And then once again, graphing. That's easy enough. -4 somewhere. Is my circle filled in or not? Yes, it's filled in. And I want everything less than that. I think the graphing is the easiest part. Okay. Now we have a word problem we need to solve. Okay. You walk dogs in your neighborhood after school, you win $4.50 per dog. How many dogs do you need to walk to earn at least $75? Well, that's nothing I ever did to make money, but I made a lot of money in my neighborhood when I was a kid. Mowing lawns, cleaning windows, doing all kinds of stuff. Make good money if you're good at it. Okay. You earn $4.50 per dog. How many dogs do you need to walk to earn at least $75? So I need to identify a variable. My variable is D for dogs. How many? Yes.
Don't we just like divide?
Nope. Not right away. I want to set up an inequality because there's a reason. There's an inequality in this. Okay. So how much do I make per dog? $4.50. So $4.50D, $75. And here's the question. At least $75. At least $75. Now, can I make less than 75 and still be okay? No. Can I make, does it, so that means that I need to make what? 75 or more. If it's at least $75, I can get away with $75, but more is good, right? So that means this needs to be greater than or equal to 75. That's the key to this, to that problem, is understanding what it means when you say at least. That means it can be 75 or larger. So when I want the money I make from walking dogs, it has to be at least equal to 75 or greater than 75. Okay, so that's the hard part of this one, is setting that part of it up. That's why you do an inequality. Now you divide both sides by 450. And you get D is greater than or equal to 75 divided by 4.5. And you get 16.6 repeated, or 16.7. Either one would be fine. So I need to have, so if I want 16 dogs, am I going to make enough money? No, 16 dogs is not 16 is not more than or equal to 16.6. I need to walk 17 dogs in order to make my money. Does that make sense?
Okay, so after the 16 point, is that a 5 or a 6?
That's a 6 repeated.
Okay.
6 with the line over the top.
I don't know if it's like a sloppy 5.
You know, I don't do that very often. I don't know why you do it in this class, but I don't. I generally don't do that very often. I just round off. Okay. But yeah, so 16 is not enough. I won't make $75 for 16. I need to do more than that, so I need to do 17. I can't walk 2/3 of a dog. Okay, well, maybe a dachshund because they're really small. Is it possible to earn exactly $75? Can I get exactly $75? No, because $450 does not go into 75 evenly. Now you might get tips, get lucky, but no. Okay, your turn. Do that one. Give that one a try. Okay, so let's do this one. So I have negative 9y. Ladies, I have negative 9y is less than or equal to 63. To solve this, I need to divide both sides by negative 9. And so I get y and negative 7. Do I flip my inequality? Yes or no? Yes, I do, because it was negative 9 on both sides, because this is negative, so I do flip my inequality. And I have negative 7. And do I have open or closed? I got a closed one on this, and I want everything bigger than negative 7. And I do believe that's it. Is that it? Awesome.